The U-505 is a German U-boat captured by the US Navy in 1944. It's on display in a museum in Chicago, and this video is a guided tour of it.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody aboard the U-505. This is a Type 9C World War II German U-boat. Now, the U-505 throughout her history, when she was in the German Navy, is credited with sinking 8 Allied ships for 46,000 gross tons. She was designed to carry a crew of 48 men. There were actually 59 on board when she was captured on June 4th, 1944. Now, this boat is like all submarines in this period of time. She's basically a surface ship that can occasionally go underwater. The U-505 could look forward to being at sea for a good 3 to 4 months at a time. So that means we're going to have to carry all our food with us, at least 4 to 5 tons worth. And that's fresh and canned. When we get on board the boat, though, you're going to find there's very little food storage on board, either cold or dry. So that means all this fresh food I'm going to have on board is going to be left out unrefrigerated, because basically we're storing food in every compartment anywhere we can find space to put it. I like to liken the boat to a 252-foot long pantry. Okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the electric motor room. We're actually inside what we call the pressure hull. That's this 3/4 inch steel that my hand is on right here. Now, the steel tube that the men will live and work in for 3 to 4 months, maximum width 15.5 feet wide. Now, through this hatch is the aft torpedo room. This is looking towards the stern or the back of the boat. Now, you see the 2 white hatches back there? Those are the 2 torpedo tubes located inside that compartment. The bunks in here are for the machinists who worked in this part of the boat. This is where they slept. And that gray wheel way in the back, just before the torpedo tubes, that's our boat's emergency steering. And there's also a head or toilet in here. There are 2 of them on board the boat. I'm sorry to say we can't use this one when we put out to sea. And the reason being, we're storing food in there. Now, this is the electric motor room. This is where the 2 electric motors that did propel the boat underwater are actually located. Now this gets into how long can I stay underwater. Our maximum time underwater is 36 to 40 hours, and that is it. There are 3 factors that limit our time underwater. First one, our batteries. Another restriction is breathable air. The air the boat has in her when she goes underwater, that is it. That's what we have to breathe. Once that becomes unbreathable, we'll have to surface the boat and get fresh air inside her. And lastly is compressed air. It's necessary for many of the systems to operate. They do require compressed air. Should that become in short supply, we are going to have to surface the boat, start our air compressors up, and refill the compressed air bottles. Now, beyond that bulkhead is the diesel engine room. That's where the 2 diesel engines that will propel the boat on the surface are actually located. There are 2 key items I like people to remember, though, about this particular compartment. First off, the temperature. With both engines running with a full load on them, it'll be at least 100 degrees Fahrenheit inside that compartment. The other item is the noise level. Now, I am going to have to walk between everybody here in just a moment when we start moving forward, because I want to start a recording. That's of our starboard diesel. That's the one on this side of the boat. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the control room. This is the nerve center of the U-boat. This compartment was designed for a crew of 5 to 10 men that work inside here. 5 men during non-combat operations. 10 would actually be inside here during combat. Now, a couple of things. Right here is our chart table. This is where we maintain the boat's course and her position. Now, the navigator of a U-boat was a non-commissioned officer, not a commissioned officer. And that gentleman, all of you are looking at a photograph of a navigator in a German U-boat during World War II. Now, right here is a Helmsman Station. Some of you can't see it, but it's a push-button helm. It's not a wheel. Now, on the starboard side there, you see those wheels in the middle of them? That's the Plainsman Station. Actually, the buttons are what they push to operate the forward and aft diving planes that control the boat's angle of ascent and descent. And also, the ladder the gentleman's leaning up against, that takes you right up into the conning tower. Inside there would be the 2 periscopes. The navigation periscope and the attack periscope are both located up in there. Now, as we walk forward, if you look to your left or port side of the boat, you're going to see the captain's quarters. That's where Hell Longa slept. Now directly opposite of his quarters, on the starboard side, you walk just right beyond the bulkhead, look to your right, or towards the starboard side, you're going to see the radio room. That's where we communicate with the outside world using Morse code. That's where the Enigma machine would be located. That's the encoding-decoding machine that the Germans used, along with code books, and there's a record player in there. Now the boat has a PA system. That's another internal communication system we have. And the records, they bring records with them to play the music and pipe it throughout the boat. And we know some of the selections that we found when the boat was captured was American jazz. Now our next stop and last one on board the boat is going to be the chief's and petty officers' quarters. Now this compartment we have altered quite a bit. Originally there used to be 12 bunks in here, not 6 that you see today. You take this side of the boat, the starboard side, put a mirror image of it right over here. So you get the other 6 bunks. The deck level here has been lowered. Makes it a little nicer for folks like this gentleman so he doesn't have to duck all the time. Now the key item is what's below us. That's the batteries. Now one of the items is a crew member can lay on here and roll back and forth, and he's doing maintenance on the batteries. One of the things he's checking is the fluid level. If the fluid level is too low, then he'll add fresh water to the cells. That's one of the 3 uses for fresh water on a U-boat. The other one is a cook. Of course he needs it for cooking, and he gets to wash in fresh water as well for sanitation needs. And lastly is drinking water. So that's it. I did forget about the other activities of life. If we want to shower, cooling water coming off the diesel engines. That's salt water. If we want to shave, salt water. So sir, you're well on your way to being a good U-boat sailor. Because they did look like pirates at the end of a patrol. Now through this hatch here takes us into the forward torpedo room. You see we have 4 tubes there. That's towards the bow of the boat, and we have more bunks. Now, if you add up the bunks I've described, and you see there are not enough. Actually, there's only 34 to 36 bunks on the boat. So, to get around that situation, very easy solution, hot bunking. Also, the other head or toilet's located inside there, too. We can't use it when we're in combat, because it makes noise. And truly in combat, silence is gold. You don't want to attract attention. So if we have to go, there's an easy solution on that one too. Sir, I hate to tell you this, but you remember the cans we got after food comes out? Oh yeah. They're the alternate facilities. So you and I get to go to the can, all right, when we're on board the boat, literally, when we can't use the head. So that gives you an idea what it's a little bit like to be on a German U-boat during World War II. A volunteer service, generally, as speaking, as most all submarine service is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our time here on the U-505. As you exit out, go in the exit gallery, spend a little time in there. There's an Enigma machine on display there that actually came off this boat, and that will be behind all of you, so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony?